Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's make a deal. So, a lot of the comments on a lot of the bikes is how we get them and how we, how much do you pay and how do you do this and how do you do that. So I'm going to do a little video, and my turn signal is on. And basically I'm just going to go over how we go about getting them. First of all, you have to have cash. If you don't have cash, you might as well forget about it. People don't take checks anymore and anything like that, so it's pretty much cash. I wouldn't go without cash anyhow, because cash does funny things to people. So what we do usually is we figure out what we want. We do research and say, I'll use my daughter's bike as an example. We wanted a DRZ 125, a TTR 125, or a CRF 150. I looked up book values on all of them, and I never pay book. I always pay under book. That's just how I do it. So basically what we did was we looked and looked and looked, and we looked on Craigslist, and we looked on a place that we have here called Penn's Woods. We looked on Penn's Woods, and we looked on Facebook. There's a Facebook group that I'm in that has a bunch of people that post stuff for sale and stuff like that. So she had money. She told me how much she had to spend. So we went ahead and started looking. Well, this lady puts up that she is selling a TTR 125 in good shape and everything. So I sent her a message and said, I'd like to come look at the bike, and she didn't have a price. And real quick note before that, when you see stuff on Craigslist that says like I don't really need to sell it, or I'm just testing the waters, I stay away from them. They're not even worth it, because basically what you're selling is, I'll sell the bike, but I want top dollar for it, even if the bike's junk, and I don't even mess with them. So I texted the girl, and she's like, well, make me an offer. Well, when I looked up book on it, it was about $1,200, right around there, $1,250. It's an 08, and we went ahead, and I told the lady, I said, listen, you live 2 hours away. If I get there and the bike is not worth, what you're asking, which she threw a number out. She threw out $900. So she's already $300 below book at that point. So I'm like, okay, this is worth going to see. So my daughter had $950. And I said, well, I don't want to spend all her money, so I'm going to try to get it a little cheaper if I can. So we went out, and the girl's like, well, I want it $900 for it. I said, well, this is what I'll do. We're going to come look at the bike, and if it is as nice a shape as you say it is, we'll consider $900. But if it isn't, we're not going to. So we went out and saw the bike, and we got there, and the bike was really nice. I looked at the chain, the sprockets, and all that stuff, and all that was good. The actual chain settings were on the number like 1.5, which means it's pretty much a fresh chain. And one of the keys to doing this is this: you listen to the people, because they'll tell you stuff that they don't really want you to know, but they don't think they're telling you. And what she told me was this: we would like to have 900 out of the bike, but we'll take 850, no less. So I'm like, So people already have a number in their head, what they want. They already know what they want to get out of the bike. And at this point, I'm like, oh, okay. So Levi, which is Smite, everybody probably already knows he's Levi, so I probably don't even have to cut that out. But he decided that, or I decided, because I had the boot on, that he was going to ride the little bike. Obviously he's smaller than me, so he got on the little bike, and while he was gone, I just listened. And I'm a people person, and I like to talk to people, and people like to talk to me, so I'm one of them people persons. And while he was gone, I was talking, and the grandfather says, yeah, he said, I don't even know why he bought the thing. He doesn't even ride it. He said, and it was a young man in his 20s. He said he bought that thing and he maybe rode it 20 times. Well, you could tell by there that he didn't ride it that much. So I'm thinking, okay, so he hasn't ridden it that much. Original tires and all this and that. And then he said something. And this is the stuff you gotta listen for. He said, yeah, we've had 7 or 8 people show up and they all want to offer $400 and $500 for this bike. Well, here's the thing. When you do stuff like that, you insult people. And then they're not going to want to sell you that bike. What's going to happen, and I know this would happen if it was me, if I was selling a bike and you showed up and I wanted $1,000 for the bike and the number in my head was 800 and you said you give me 400 for it, I'd be like, yeah, go pound sand, you're not getting the bike. Even if you pulled out $800 at that point, I'm not negotiating with you anymore because you already insulted me. So you want to be careful not to insult people. And you want to be careful too not to downgrade the bike so much. Because see, these people have these bikes, they might have got it from their uncle, their father, or their sister or something, and you don't know what the attachment to the bike is, and you don't want to insult them. So what you do is you do a lot of listening and a little bit of talking. So at this point when the grandfather said to me, well, he's only ridden that thing about 20 times. He said he's had 7 or 8 guys come look. Either everybody has no money or they want to offer him $400 or $500 for the bike. So now I'm like, okay, now I see where we're going with this because I'm just listening. So I said to, and my daughter had already given me the money. So I thought $800 was fair for the bike. We're about $450 below book value, which means if we have to put any money into it, we're going to bring ourselves back to book value, if anything. Because you never want to put more than book value in the bike because you're not going to get it out of it. People would put all these accessories on bikes like the stuff we put on. You don't get them out of the bikes at the end. I mean, you just don't, unless you get some sucker that's going to pay for it. So I pulled $800 out of my pocket. You can use whatever denominations you want to use. I like $100 bills. Fresh from the bank, $100 bills. They're really nice. I pulled $800 out of my pocket. I put all $800 out and laid it on the table. And I told the kid, he's a kid to me, but he's in his 20s. I said, listen, if you want to sell the bike today, I will take it. And the girl, which is the wife, she said, well, we have another guy interested and he might give us $900. So I said, okay, we're gonna, basically we're gonna leave, because another tip, don't act like you want the bike so bad that you just gotta have it. And I said, listen, the bike's gonna need a little work. It wasn't what I expected. Well, when you say it wasn't what I was expected, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It might be a good thing, but he doesn't know that, and he's thinking, "Oh man." So, I was like, we buy and sell, a lot of bikes, or we have bought a lot of bikes in the past couple months here, and I know what bikes are going for and this and that. So here's $800 and $100 bills if you are willing to sell the bike, and. He's not paying attention. And he was like, hold on. So he runs in his house and he comes back out and he says, my grandmother is where he's storing the bike. He said, my grandmother said I got to get, just to get rid of the thing. So he took the 800, we loaded it in the truck, and away we went. And some of the keys were this. I didn't insult the guy. I didn't say I'm going to give you $400 or $500 for a bike that I know is worth $1,200. The bike was in really good shape. Even the tires are brand new, and they're the original tires. We didn't pick the bike apart to the point where he felt basically like we were putting them down. So, because you don't know the emotional attachment they have to it. So there's some of the keys. Plus, I had cash in my hand. So, the cash always works. As a, when people see money, they do funny things. So, that was a big rut. So, we went ahead and, you know, we got the bike. And that's the way I usually do things. I don't insult people. I try to be nice and friendly, and I negotiate with them. Obviously, if he got there and it was a piece of junk, he would have taken $500 for it. So some of the bikes you have to be careful though, because Smite did find a bike that we went to look at, and we tried to ride it, and I got it. It was a YZ125, like in the 80s or early 90s or something. And I tried to get it to wind down first. It wouldn't. I just took it back to the kid, and I was honest with the kid. I'm like, you know, yeah, it doesn't run right. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? And I'm like, it doesn't run right. So, a little bumpy here. So he, so you got to be careful. Don't just jump on, you know, if there's things wrong with it and you think you can come out ahead. Is he going up there? Nope, I guess not. I don't know where that goes. And you can come out ahead, that's good. But don't pay book for something that you got to put money into, because then you're going to be more money into it than the bike is worth. And then you're just in a bad situation. So, you know. Not too much of a wheelie. So another quick one, because I don't want to make the video too long and bore you, but another quick one is this. When I got my GSXR, I found it on Craigslist. Oh, and one other thing. When you're looking on Craigslist and you're looking for, like, if you were looking for this DR, put in DR 650 and look. Some of these guys have them up for a month and a half, 2 months. And it's not that the bike is junk. It's that nobody's got money, or they want to get it for next to nothing, and a guy ain't going to sell it for that. So just because they're up there for a little while doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. So when I went to get the GSXR, I talked to the guy, found it on Craigslist, talked to the guy, and he wanted $5,400 for the bike. It booked at $56,000. I asked him, you know, before I even come out, I said, you know, will you take anything less for it? Because I didn't want to spend that much. And he's like, well, I'll do $52,000. So I was willing to pay $52,000 for it if it was nice. So we drove 2 hours. My wife drove me, and I was going to ride the bike back. We got out there, and the bike was super nice. It needed a bar end, nothing major. It had brand new tires on it. It was already piped, power commanded, and everything. There we go. And so I took the bike out for a ride, and I come back with it, and I was willing to pay $52,000 because it booked at $56,000. If I had to put any money into it, I'd still be at the normal, you know, right around book. So the key to this was this. When I got back, I was talking to the kid, and we were talking back and forth, you know, and he was telling me all, you know, oh, it'll run with 1,000 cc's, and it'll do this and do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. And then so when I got back with the bike after test riding it, I was there talking to him, like I said, and his girlfriend come out, and it's a covered bridge, and his girlfriend said, oh, are you gonna buy the bike? And I said, oh, I don't. Wow, that's a lot of posters. I guess he doesn't want nobody in here, huh? This must be the, I wasn't going to go up there anyhow, but this must be, he must be a no trespassing private property Nazi. Look at that thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's like 25 posters here. Must be the poster Nazi. So, the kid, sorry, I got distracted. So he was standing there talking to me, and I said, oh, you're getting a house? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know, me and my wife, when we were young and we bought our house, it was pretty exciting. And he goes, yeah, that's why I'm selling the bike, because I need money for the house. And obviously he had the title. I always make sure the titles are there. you know, the titles are clear title that they can sign over to you, and you got a place you can go get it signed over. So, she said, yeah, we need a down payment for a house and da 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 da. Well, when a woman gets involved in it sometimes, whoa, look at that. It changes things. So at this point I got in my head, I might be able to get a little bit cheaper. So I went over to the car, told my wife, give me $4,800 cash. She counted it out, gave it to me, $4,800 in $100 bills. And I walked up and said, listen, the bike needs a few things. I think this is fair. And I put $4,800 cash on the seat of the bike. And he's just kind of like, he's, you know, itching in his pants. You could tell he doesn't want to sell it for $4,800. And I thought, well, this is where we'll start to negotiate. And instead of the 52, maybe I'll end up at 5. I don't know. So, and then that would be 600 under book. So he's like, no. Well, she gave him that look and said, you know, we need a house. We need to get out of this apartment. You need to sell the bike. So I ended up getting the bike for $4,800. And the thing of it is this, if I wouldn't have listened, you know, I just listened and heard her say that. I caught that. I caught the little details, you know. And it's the same thing with the YZ. When we got the YZ 125, Smite paid for that. You know, the guy wanted $1,000 and he picked it up for $700 because the guy had 4 or 5 other guys there that said he'd give him $500 for it, and he said he'd nail it to the barn wall for $500 and has it a display. Now that needed the carb cleaned, and I knew it. You know, we knew it needed carb work. So, you know, we ended up getting that, you know, for $700, which was a deal. And then he put a, you know, couple $100 into it, but hopefully you can take some of the stuff that I said and try it for yourself. You know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And you know what? If you think you're going to overpay for something, just walk away, because there's going to be another bike somewhere else that you might like even better, or that might be better for you, better suited for you, you know, better shape. So don't always jump on the first bike, and don't act like, oh, I gotta have it, because then you're just playing into their hand. But like I said, don't insult people. Watch the emotional ties to the bike, because you know, because a lot of people have emotional ties to it, and you don't want to insult them. But a lot of people have in their head what they're willing to take. Say, for example, $1,000, but I'll take $800. And when you get close to that $800 and you have cash in your hand, they tend to forget about the number they had in their head. But you got to be close. You can't be so far away that you insult them. So I hope the video turned out good. We're just riding along here. So, or I mean, not the video turned out good. I hope that maybe you could take some of the tips that I do. You know, if you're a good people person, it works really good. If you don't like to negotiate, you might have a harder time doing it. But I don't mind doing it. So it works pretty good for me. I won't go into dealers, because every dealer's different. And if you buy a lot of bikes from a certain dealer, you get better prices than other people. But dealers generally bring a item in, and you know, you can pick up that same item for thousands less somewhere else. Unless it's a bike that you can't find anywhere else, I don't buy new, and I don't buy from dealers if I don't have to. It doesn't work out. I mean, you usually overpay for them. You know, the only benefit to a dealer, and this is one of the benefits to a dealer, is if you pick up a bike from a dealer and you head home, and the next day the thing won't start or it blowed up, you can take it right back to them, because they got a certain amount of time that they got to honor it. Most places will give you a warranty, but you know, that's a chance you take. But if you don't know a lot about bikes or ATVs or whatever you're buying, take somebody with you that does. Take somebody that's honest, and take somebody that doesn't have a vested interest in it. That way, if you get there and all you see is, man, that thing's got a big motor and it's got a pipe on it and it looks really gnarly, and they look at it and go, yeah, but there's a dent here. Hey, did you hear the knocking in the motor, or did you hear this? Because a lot of times when you're going to buy something, you don't see the other stuff until you get it home, and then you're like, oh man, look at that dent. Hey, did you notice the motor? It just doesn't sound right. Well, that's why you take somebody else with you that is honest enough and your friend enough to say, hey, listen, I don't think you should buy that. Well, but I really like it. Yeah, I understand you really like it, but this is what's wrong with it. This, and this, and then you're going to have to fix that. You know, so that's about all I have. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to Smightification. We're going to have some more videos coming out. We're going to do some different stuff. Now we got the dual sports, so we both can be on the road. We're going to do some more running. So subscribe, ride safe.